Thinking here, and the video is now the Christmas question is now online on YouTube, and I've seen most of Sunburned as well. I didn't see the last 20 minutes, so but anyway, in any case, I'm thinking like we have all these different pagan pagan religions, pretty much, in regards of sun worship and keeping the winter solstice and all that, celebrating and all that. Well, what I'm thinking is, all these different religions that was still sun worship, well, they had their different names, different characteristics, and all that, right? From one place to another, they were still, in regards of pagan bullshit, satanic worship and all that. But it, some differences, overall in the, in the names and in how they looked in regards of, you still see a lot of the, but paganism, is a big pile of a soup, pretty much, of many, it's just it goes from one place to another, evolves here and takes a little on here, and goes and this and that. So overall, I remember one of the information in regards of Sol Invictus. One of the informations that I found, this was from Wikipedia, if I remember correctly. But actually, I couldn't find it on Wikipedia, by the way, because but this. There was an older video, but I couldn't find it on Wikipedia, but I did find it in another place, where they talked about that Sol Invictus, naming the festival of the sun, the literal dead sun and all that. Sol Invictus, then you could, it was like an ecumenical thing. So all like Mithra, you can find Mithra picture of saying Sol Invictus and all that. So Mithra and Sol Invictus seems to be the same. But I've seen one of the sources that actually says that Sol Invictus was a chosen title to unite all the people that is in regards of sun worship, in regards of this single festival in the winter solstice. And so they, as I understand it, used a ecumenical name, Sol Invictus. That would be, but that would still be Mithra, and Helios and whatever, all these different whatever, I can't remember all the names and all that. But so they could celebrate the sun, in regards of the rising of the sun and the sun birth and all that at Sol winter solstice. And I'm thinking like, okay, the devil uses different I should probably have set this on 4G. I'm not sure there. Let's just anyway, it hasn't complained anyway, but any case, so I'm thinking, the devil uses different themes in some sense of these different, sun worship, bullshit things and all that, right? So would it really be a problem in regards of just another new theme, in regards of just putting the names of Jesus and Mary and whatever and all that, and in regards to sunbirth, right? Would it be that much of a difference for the devil, pretty much, just to, oh, yep, let's just come here and let's just make another version in regards of, pretty much partying for the devil, pretty much. We're not partying for God, because God never told us to keep this, tradition, man-made tradition, whatever you want to call it. It's not something commanded in the Bible. But I'm thinking like, would that be a big problem for the devil? Just in exchanging the names and all that. And I'm thinking, no, it does. He doesn't really care in regards to the names and all that, as long as we are following after him, right? And of course, he doesn't really care if we know or not know, I guess, because it's just, he's a great deceiver, isn't he? So, yeah, so I'm just thinking, it's, all these different themes of sun worship, different places you find all over, different religions and all that, where you see that they seem to have something with the sun and all that. and I can't remember the guy that went into. He's still alive. He was promoting ayahuasca as well, which I wouldn't recommend. But yeah, it's traveling around and checking about these different places and in regards of the sun, how they are, they seem to be, have some fine tuning in regards of the sun and all that. So yeah, anyway, so pointing in the direction that they worship the sun and all that, and of course different pictures, and it's all over the world pretty much. So people saying that there's nothing pagan with the solstice, winter. It's just incredible. Blind, I guess. Just look at the things, that is at the time of Christmas and all that. And of course, then, Saturnalia, we have that in the period of the winter solstice, and then we have the birth of the sun, celebrating the birth of the sun, Sol Invictus as well. I think there was more festivals in that time period, but we pretty much, in the time of December, that's pretty much the time for this spirit, the spirit of error, and where we're lying to the children, and it's very sad to see, people lying to their children, about gnomes coming with packages or Satan Claus coming with packages and all that. Give me a break. People are lying. It's directly lying. And the world is just in on it. It's just okay to lie to your children about these things, right? And anyway, so I'm thinking, like, would it be a big problem for the devil just exchanging some names? And no, I don't actually think so. It wouldn't be a big problem for of course, Roman Catholicism. What is Roman Catholicism? Well, it's the old pagan mystery religion of Rome, amalgamated with, pretty much with sheep clothing, amalgamating with, the Christians or whatever you want to call them, in the, I don't know. How would why would anyone compromise with the pagan high priest of sun worship of Sol Invictus, Mithra, in regards of Constantine? Why would any Christian be going in bed with that guy? I just and then getting away from what? From all the Judaizing, right? We need to get away from these Jewish festivals, and Saturday we'll replace with Sunday, and all the festivals of the Jews, we don't want anything to do with them. We want our own. That's pretty much, in our days, everything is just, all the biblical festivals we've just, trashed. And we're celebrating all these pagan satanic ones instead, in replacement. Because we don't want to be like the Jews, right? Yet Jesus was a Jew. He is a Jew, So if Jesus is a Jew and he was celebrating the festivals written in the law of Moses, why is that so bad? Well, maybe the devil have made us think it's bad, so we would go and seek his instead, so he would come and give his festivals to us, because of course, if he can make a hole, and I think actually that was made with Paul or Paulus, if he can make a hole that says, hey, it doesn't really matter which one you're keeping, one does it for one day, one does it for God for one day, and another does it for another day and all that, it doesn't really matter, this and that and all that. Well, if he can make the hole, then he can begin to insert his own fallacies of traditions, And that's pretty much what has happened. You see the conflict going down through history. And there might be a lot of holes in history that we have. But I think we have enough puzzle pieces to absolutely, go around this, and go stop doing these fallacies and going back to the festivals of Jehovah. So I think we have enough puzzle pieces to see that, there's a lot of problems with these things, Why would we continue to keep them? I don't know. the world loves these. And actually, oh yeah, in regards of Sunburned, there's a lot of good stuff in Sunburned. I really, even if there is some mistakes in Sunburn, as far as I've seen, having the last 20 minutes or something like that left. As far as I can see, you have so much good information in it. So to scrap it is just because you have some issues here and there. It seems kind of terrible, There's some really good argumentation in regards of like, what was it? No, I forgot it, of course. That was, but that, that's the same. The same thing that I'm thinking. It's like, but I can't remember what it was anymore. Apparently, I lost it. Yeah, I don't know what that was, but that, yeah, it was a really, really, good argument in regards of, and apparently my brain couldn't keep it. Okay, well, what was it? Good question. Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, I lost it. I lost it. But that, in any case, and there were so many sources from lexicons. And one of the biggest problem I think we have out there is that people don't want to look up in a lexicon for themselves. And yet you have like half an hour or something like that of just books and books and books where they're just reading and giving the source for this information. So yeah, it's wonderful. Anyway, I can't remember in regards to what was what, but anyway, we see it down through history, knowing a little here in regards of history. We see how the Romanizers are attacking the Judaizers. We see how the laws are changed against the Judaizers. We see how the Romanizers are getting into power and amalgamating with this mystery religion of Rome, and it's pretty much all pagan bullshit, pagan sun worship bullshit, You have it all. It's just everywhere in this Roman Catholic religion. And you have all this sun, the dead sun thing, everywhere. It's just hidden in front of our nose. But of course, just like Pontifex Maximus, right? That's the high pagan priest. Well, high pagan priest. Okay. So what was Constantine? He was the Pontifex Maximus, and what was that? The high pagan priest of sun worship. Sol Invictus, Mithra, and all that. And it's like, so why would any Christian have that title? Well, then you have the cookie. What does the cookie god of the Roman Catholics looks like? The fake Jesus version and all that. Looks like a sun, right? It's put in a sunburst, a monstrance which looks like a sunburst. Couldn't have anything to do with the sun, could it? Symbols just all over. Sunday in regards of, let's not keep the Sabbath of the Jews, but let's keep to the Sunday. Let's rest on Sunday for the venerated sun god Sol Invictus. It's just Sunday bullshit everywhere. What is like? Do you have like a Palm Sunday as well, right? And you have Sunday in regards of your Sunday, first Advent, second Advent, third Advent, fourth Advent. Sunday. People going to church on Sunday, the first day of the week, and all that. Every places everywhere pointing to it being sun worship, the dead sun, not the living sun. But anyway, there was some really good arguments in regards of Sunburned, and I had this one thing that I sadly lost out of my brain that I wanted to point out, but that apparently went flying away. But yeah, that was, I would absolutely agree that, but I can't remember what that argument was. I just lost it. I'm so sorry. So I think it's pretty sad that they took it down, because the idea, of course, is to test everything. So even if even if like 20% of the video is faulty, there was still a lot of, or maybe more, but there was still a lot of good sources directly from the lexicons, from book sources, and so forward. So, and how much do we actually have out on? There's people out there and all that, but it's not that so much overall. Just here the here they did the job for the people. Looking up the different lexicons and showing them these things. So yeah. Anyway, I guess that's. I guess I'll just continue with this video. I was just thinking, and I can't remember the other thing. Maybe I'll come up on it at some point. It's pagan bullshit. Satan has deceived us. He's deceived every one of us. Oh yeah. I remember the thing. Okay. The thing is, when and I've experienced that myself, so I would absolutely agree with this. The world doesn't have anything against Christmas or Easter or Halloween, right? It loves it, right? The world loves these things. Isn't it interesting? They love them, right? But if you bring up, and these are said to be about Jesus, said to be basically Easter and Christmas, pagan bullshit and all that. But the world loves them, right? The world loves them, have no problem with them. Well, if you talk about the real festivals, and actually some Christians, some of them that follows Paulus ends up, being vicious. Sometimes you feel like they're ready to burn you at the stake when you talk about the festivals, in the Bible, and tell them that the other ones are pagan and all that. Anyway, or keeping the law and all that, they will say, oh, you lose salvation, all that bullshit. But anyway, the devil knows his trick, and he deceives so many people. In any case, so the world doesn't have anything wrong in regards to Christmas. It loves Christmas. It loves Yule, or whatever you want to call it, the winter solstice. It loves it, right? The world loves it. Well, if the world loves it, that's interesting because it seemed to hate the festivals in the Bible. You can see that down through history. You can see how the Romanizers, that would be professed Christians working for the Antichrist in regards to Rome. The Romanizers are attacking these festivals, down through history. Read John Chrysostom against the Jews, for example, it just goes on and on and on and on and on. And of course, he's called the Golden Mouth, whatever. But anyway, and he promotes Christmas. He begins to promote Christmas in the late 4th century. And I can't remember the exact date when this is fixed, but of course it's Rome. It begins in Rome, and then it goes out from Rome, and the little horn thinks to change times and laws and all that. So it's not a surprise. We see all the conflicts with Rome. Maybe I should actually put it on 4G, but 2 seconds. If it wants to get up there. What was it? I lost it again, apparently. Wow, I lost it. What was it? I guess I'm not totally at my right mind at the moment. All these antifungals and all that. We see. We see down through history how the Romanizers are attacking these festivals found in the Bible and promoting the Roman traditions, And we see that, of course, this Christmas thing begins in Rome and then spreads out. This is a new tradition in the 4th century. The Christians didn't keep that. 300 years they didn't keep Christmas. And then you see John Chrysostom saying, oh, but in Rome they knew in regards of the, when Yeshua was born and blah, 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 bullshit and whatever. And then he begins to promote it. And yet you can see he's attacking the Judaizers and the festivals of Jehovah. Does that seem right? And he even talks about there's many in our ranks. So apparently there seems to be a lot of Judaizers still around in the late 4th century. And that's after the Nicene Council and a lot of rules being instated and a lot of persecution and whatever. Apparently there's still Judaizers around. But of course, time over time, Satan have a way of winning out. You know, if you can't, what do you call it, swallow them up, well, you know, just kill them, right? You know, just murder them, just destroy their documents and so forward, and rewrite history and whatever. Rome knows how to do all these things. And yeah, anyway, the devil really works his filth. Anyway, so, and you know, Asia Minor, as far as I can see, kept all the festivals of Jehovah. Well, if someone tells us today that you will lose salvation if you try to keep the festivals of Jehovah, well, are you then going to say that the Christians in Asia Minor had lost salvation? You know, the very place that Yeshua is writing to the 7 congregations in Asia Minor, the very place that rejected Paulus as an apostle. You know, 2 Timothy 1:15, and then you can read Revelation 2:2. But anyway, that's another subject, of course. But you know, 2 Timothy 1:15, and it should be the last letter of Paul, where he says that all Asia has turned away from me. And then, of course, you see Yeshua by the hand of Apostle John, or Yochanan, writing to the 7 congregations in Asia Minor. That would include Ephesus, where Paul, by the way, had been, right? And Yeshua says to the congregation of Ephesus that there were some false apostles. Now, this is the 1st century. How many false apostles do you think are going around in the name of Jesus at that point? Now, anyway, so there were some false apostles. They had to be tested, so it wasn't totally clear that these apostles was false. So, pretty good deceivers, you know. So, they found them liars. And Yeshua is like, hey, good job, you know. And then, of course, we have Paul saying that, oh, all Asia have rejected me. I wonder if that could be anything, you know. Anyway, there's a lot of coincidences in regards to these things. I think Yeshua is pretty much blowing the lid on some of the doctrines that Paulus is teaching, you know, in these 7 letters. Actually, the whole system of this wicked system, I think, is pretty much what shall we say? Pretty much made open for us in some sense. I think the whole book of, you know, if you see also the words of Yeshua and the book of Revelation is exposing the whole system of this wicked organization that persecutes the saints and so forward. And of course, the first persecutor of the saints was who? Well, he's found in the New Testament, the Roman Pharisee Paulus, or Shaul. Anyway, another topic. We don't need to go on that direction. But that seems to be the instigator for beginning to destroy the laws of Jehovah. Every time you see people defending lawlessness, where do they go? They go to Paulus. Every single time, pretty much, you know. They don't go to Jesus, you know. Now, so you can quote a Jesus and they will flip a Paul. And I'm like, okay, so I flip a Jesus and you flip a Paul. Who do you think have the most authority here, you know? Is it Jesus, who is God in the flesh, or is it Paul, that is a man that is said to be a follower of Jesus? Well, if Paul is in direct conflict with what Yeshua is saying, well, maybe Paul then, or Paulus, needs to be corrected on that, you know. Anyway, whatever. Yeshua had warned us about, you know, Satan coming and sowing the bad, poisonous darnel, you know, the tares and all that, the lawless seeds and all that. As far as I can see, we have the law-abiding and we have the lawless, you know. So, and they're growing up together. There was 2 gospels going out into the world. One with the scriptures and one without it, pretty much, you know. One that was lawless, one that one that led you to the law and one that led you away from the law, you know. So anyway, you can see that in the prologues of Marcion, for example. That's one of the puzzle pieces for that. But yeah, of course, you could just also the New Testament, you know, where Paul or Paulus is breaking down the law and using the law to break down the law. It's very interesting to see. He's very slick, you know. He's jumping all around and, you know, and yeah, breaking down the law. With the law, actually, he's, you know, using, you know, when it fits him, he uses it and then he breaks it down. Yeah, it's just incredible. Yeshua didn't take the law to the tree. He took the sins upon himself, the transgressions of the law. That was what Yeshua took to the tree. When the living bread was broken and his wine poured out once and for all. You know, anyway, that's when the Passover lamb was slain. Any case, so that's pretty much. So we see this historical thing where it begins to go downhill pretty quickly. Already in the first century, the devil is, and why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't he be doing his thing? You know, wouldn't you expect him to actually do something? Now the Son of God, God in flesh, have just been in the world and given these people a lot of light and, you know, the spirit of truth and all that. They are standing for truth and all that. What is Satan going to do? Do you think he's just going to give up? You know, losing all these, you know, people that he has deceived, they are losing more and more. And I would think he would become angry, right? He would send his best, his very best, and on different levels, he would send all that he could to try to squeeze out the truth. And one way of squeezing out the truth is, of course, to destroy the Jewish festivals, which is actually just Jehovah's festivals, and to, you know, like, oh, the Judaizers, right? It's like seen as something bad, or the Jewish festivals, like something, it's something bad. You know, he's really using it to a negative term, while Yeshua was a Jew keeping those. And of course, all the festivals are pretty much about him. You know, Day of Trumpet, probably in regards to the future coming. In regards to Sukkot, probably in regards of him tabernacle, and also in regards of thinking on the 1,000-year reign in the future, you know, where he's going to rule the whole world from Jerusalem. So where we will go up to Jerusalem and listen to the law, and the law of God will also go out to the world. And we will come up and celebrate Sukkot and so forward, you know, or we will be punished pretty much anyway. So that is, the laws doesn't seem to be done away, does it? You know. Anyway, so so pretty much we know, you know, we use the Bible to help us be guided in the truth and all that, and then we see puzzle pieces in the world, and we pretty much begin to see an image, you know. God is guiding us in the direction of truth, and, you know, standing, being able to say this is no go, you know, and we'll go with this, you know. And of course, it pisses off the devil, and that's the thing in regards of the so-called Jewish holidays, in regards of Jehovah's festivals found in the law of Moses. The devil doesn't like, you know, the people doesn't like that. The world doesn't like these festivals. They don't want to keep them. They don't want to keep the real Passover, or the real 7 days of unleavened bread, or the festival of weeks, or the Day of Trumpets, or the Day of Atonement, or the day of the festival of booths, or the last great day of the year, which is the 8th day of this festival. Anyway, you have 7 days, and then you have the last great day and all that. These were the festivals that Yeshua was keeping. And by the way, people will still say, oh, but Yeshua was keeping Hanukkah and all that. That's bullshit. I've heard different things. Oh, but Yeshua was only going up to... He was already in Jerusalem. If you read the book of John, and you see where he's, you know, they will point you to John 10, I think it is. And I think it's around John 7 or something like that, when Yeshua actually goes up to Sukkot. And he's still there. He's staying in Jerusalem. He's staying there and teaching. It's just saying that at the time of when the Jews were keeping Hanukkah, right? he's still in the temple teaching, and that seems to be he's either going away from Jerusalem at the time of Hanukkah or just after, because it says it's the time of Hanukkah, and the Jews are stirred up again, and then Jesus goes away from Jerusalem. But he has been teaching in Jerusalem, as far as I can see, for a couple of months already. He was already there. It just says this is the time of Hanukkah. This is not to say that he was celebrating Hanukkah. And I've seen all these bad arguments and this and that to try to, what shall we say, justify keeping Hanukkah. And I just, whatever. No, not going to work. And it's just, some of these arguments are just totally baseless. It's just like, where it's like, how can you even come up with this bullshit? How can you, it's just, I think it's going, whatever. It's just incredible. So anyway, so yeah. Apparently, Yeshua couldn't be in the temple area while the others are celebrating Hanukkah without actually celebrating. That's one of the arguments. So he couldn't be in the house of God with actually, which is actually, that would be God's house, right? So if Yeshua is in that area and he's sitting there and teaching people and all that, right? That doesn't mean he's I'm living in Denmark. Just because I live in Denmark doesn't mean I'm celebrating Christ Mass, does it? But most of the country are celebrating Christ Mass. Does that mean I'm keeping Christ Mass? No. But I'm here, right? But doesn't mean I'm celebrating it, right? And there's some other arguments in regards of this and whatever. Anyway, I think it's bullshit. I think it's utter bullshit. It's just and people saying, Yeshua was only going up for the festivals that he was keeping. Well, Yeshua wasn't going up to Hanukkah. He was already in Jerusalem. It's just saying that at the time of Hanukkah and so forward. Anyway, it never says anything about him. Keeping it. So. Now we don't have anything where he's but we have to remember that we don't have everything that he did, We only have what we have in the New Testament, and then what is in the Old Testament, so-called Old Testament, the Torah and the prophets, right? The front of the book that people tend to not read. But yeah, anyway, and Hanukkah is not a commanded festival. And actually, you can find a lot of sources, both Jewish and professors and whatever and all that, and where witches even and all that, talking about that Hanukkah is actually connected with the winter solstice, and in regards to the sun worship thing, in regards to the light and all that, and lighting all the other candles and all that. Whatever the case, it's not it's not found in the Torah. So whatever the case, I don't see why I should keep it. But I do. I can't. I've read the 21 pages of this document. That was pretty good. But there was a lot of information about Hanukkah and all that. But overall, it's. I'd already decided not to partake in this. I think there's too much also connection with Jewish mysticism and all that, and saying that we are now commanded, but God commanded us to do this, which the Jews have a way of saying, but that's bullshit, because God didn't command them to do this and that and all that. He commanded them to do what is found in the book of Moses. Anyway, so why would I partake in these traditions of vanity? Anyway, so I see it as going from one turd to another turd, one stinking turd to going to another stinking turd. You go from one deception to another deception, pretty much, as far as I see it anyway. But anyway, the middle candle is actually if you go to, I think it was Mesopotamian, the god of the Mesopotamian in regards to the sun god, actually has the direct same name. Now they will say it's servant in Hebrew and all that, or helper, but it's just interesting. I had, you can find multiple sources on this, but for example, we have one of the last sources I've found in regards to this was from a Jewish pagan, and she's praying to Shekinah and all that. That's in regards of Jewish mysticism. This is also on the Sabbath. They have a thing of inviting this female spirit into their home. So I wouldn't advise that. I would actually do the opposite. Don't do that. So let's see here. We have here. Let's see. Why is it? Oh yeah, so this is the Jewish, I think it was a Jewish woman, a witch, or, well, a pagan anyway. I placed the Shamash, which shares its name, completely coincidence, I'm sure, with the Mesopotamian god of the sun, and, and in the center, elevated above the rest and so forward. You can find sources, both Jewish sources. Actually, yeah, let's see if we can find the last one here. Let's see here. On the natural level, both Christmas and Hanukkah descends from ancient celebrations of the winter solstice. And they go into, in regards of, it's connected, of course, with the Maccabeans, but, apparently, according to this source, the so-called rabbis and leaders and that don't really like, in regards to the conflict and all that, and seems like they had changed things, and it evolves into what it is today. I wouldn't keep it. It's from the Encyclopedia of Jewish Symbols, if anyone wants to look it up. I don't have the page. We have another source that let's see here. Yeah, that was in regards to Shamash. This is from the Britannica, the Encyclopedia. Shamash, in Mesopotamian religion, the god of the sun, who with the moon, Sin, Sumerian Nana, and Ishtar, Sumerian Inanna, and the goddess of Venus. And then you also see with, what was in regards to Venus? Something in regards of Venus as well, in regards of, all this paganism, pagan bullshit. Oh yeah, that was in Hebrew, Easter. Esther. I think they talked about Esther, maybe actually also meaning Venus. But anyway, whatever. Not that it really... But that's, of course, one of the books that actually ends up adding Purim to... And I remember researching this many, many years ago, and remember seeing that the Jewish so-called sages, whatever you want to call them, that had a lot of problems accepting this, and was debating, whether this, isn't this adding to the Torah, and in the end they, they added it in some sense. So yeah, anyway. So it's not something found in the Torah, so I wouldn't keep that either. And you can see the traditions of Purim is to dressing out and all this, like a carnival thing, so I wouldn't partake in that either. So, by the way, here's another link to sun worship, by the way. The magic square of the sun making the number of 666. Isn't that interesting? The number 666. Again, a link to the sun. Oh, anyways, all point to sun worship. It's all sun bullshit, pretty much. And all roads leads to Rome. Anyway, and there's the false cookie Jesus. Anyway, anyway, that's something in regards of... This is Roman Catholicism, disgraceful religion of pagan sun worship, baptized to look Christian, while the high pagan priest of Mithra, Sol Invictus, the Pontifex Maximus, and Roman Antichrist of the number 666 leads it in satanic idolatry for the ruin of the souls of men. Something I wrote yesterday, apparently. Anyway, I guess going into all this Mithra thing, stirred me up in regards of saying there's nothing pagan in regards of Christmas and all that. again got me into this spiral of, getting, doing a research of the topic, I guess. Yeah, it's really, this auto thing in regards of it should really be, there's no adjustable thing in it. How hard could it be to make an adjustable thing, so you could fix the sensitivity? But no. Now, of course, I know it's actually made in other, if you actually have a rooted device and all that, but apparently it's too hard for them to actually. Anyway, as I understand it, some of the new versions of Android, they actually have fixed something in them, where it adjusts to your adjusting, the things. But they could just have fixed the adjustment overall. Where you can just adjust it by yourself. Anyway, so yeah, in some sense we are, oh yeah, that's another interesting thing in regards to when the day starts at the beginning. I had to find out in regards to when Rome changed its beginning of the day, because it seems, according to Wikipedia, it seems to suggest that the day began at sunset as well in Rome, and of course that has been changed at some point. Of course, I'm writing so much on my Facebook, so yeah. So I have a lot of. Sometimes it's hard to find the things that you write, and of course they haven't made it easier as well. They pretty much have destroyed the system of actually easier finding the past information. Here we go. In the 4th century, Socrates Scholasticus stated that the Christians of Alexandria and Rome partook of the mysteries, the love feast of the Eucharist, on the first day of the week, Saturday evening. So here we see Saturday evening. And that would be, of course, be Saturday, well, as we see it like today, an evening, like, so that was close to sunset, right? So it seems like they must have followed sunset to sunset at some point. So yeah, anyway. And it actually goes on to say it 2 more times in regards to Saturday evening. They point out this is Saturday evening, like met both on Sabbath and the first day, Saturday evening. But that Rome and Alexandria met only on the first day, Saturday evening, and no longer on the Sabbath. So what would be the Sabbath? That would be Friday evening that actually would have begun and so forward. So, yep. Anyway, yeah. So there's a lot of bullshit out there for sure. And just getting a little, when people say there's no pagan connections with Christmas and the winter solstice, it's just bullshit. And when people then go on to attack the festivals found in the Bible, they pretty much show their colors, You can see their colors at that point. And I'm not going with that, I'm absolutely not going with that. It's just disgusting, Promoting Roman tradition, pagan traditions, and attacking the festivals of Jehovah and saying, oh, they have pagan, connection. What utter bullshit, You really have, these people doing these things, it's and sadly, a lot of people are they're just looking for an excuse to still continue to keep Christmas. And then they find some guy like that, and it's like, oh, sounds really good, slick and all that, very snaky. And it's like, oh, they run back to their filthy pagan traditions, It's like, come on, look around you. They're hanging gnomes up everywhere in the household, which are going back to false house gods. How much in the face does it need to be for you to see that it's pagan, All the things, the colors, all these customs, pagan, the words, pagan, Yule, pagan, Yule, Yulna, Odin, pagan, right? Christmas, going back to the Antichrist in regards of the abomination of the mass of the Antichrist, of the Roman Catholics. Pagan. All pagan bullshit. Anyway, Easter. Pagan. Easter, just listen to the name. Easter. Pagan, pagan, pagan. And Halloween and so forth. Anyhow, it should. How obvious does it need to be for you to like? This doesn't seem like it's and some people just want to have have a slick talker, and then they run back to the things. What we should be concerned about and looking to is the festivals of Yehovah, the festivals that the world hates. That's where our energy should be used on, not these pagan festivals. If the world wants to celebrate these pagan festivals and all that, that's one thing, but the Christians should not. Why would we partake in these worldly stupidities, Just keep the festivals of Yehovah. It's not like you can't keep any festivals. They're still there. You might have a problem finding people that, wants to keep them and all that. But if you have enough resources and all that, you have different people actually keeping celebrations that you can go to. You can, if you can travel by airplane or whatever, you can. Michael Rood, for example, has an event, for example, every year. These last couple of years, he had an event and all that, and had different things as well. There are different festivals out there where one could go and be collected with other brothers and sisters and all that, that are hungry for the truth. Now, it's not to say that they're perfect. We have a way of not being perfect. Jesus was perfect. Yeshua was perfect. And that is our goal in regards to that direction. That should be our pinpoint. What is it called? Our guiding thing. I'm lacking of words here. That's a good word, a good English word. But that should be our. So it's not like there's not festivals where you can enjoy yourself. There are. It's just not on the pagan festivals and the pagan times and so forward. Well, Passover and Easter is pretty close to each other. But there's no command there's no command in regards to actually celebrating the New Year. But if one is going to celebrate the New Year, at least do it on the real New Year, right? Instead of this, pagan bullshit of Janus in the winter. The New Year is in spring. And the closer you can get to these things and normalize it, the easier it is to understand the Bible as well and get more gold, from the Bible. Because it's easier to you unlock more, more things and all that. You can the understanding grows and so forward. Anyway, and the more that you take in of truth, the harder it is for Satan to deceive you, right? So, of course, we will get persecuted and all that, but that's part of it, Anyway, have a good one, all of you. I'm going to see more of this video. I still have like an hour, less than an hour, like little less than an hour of this video of this new movie called the Christmas Question. I'm not, compared to the other one, I really did like the other one being made like it was, and I can see that a lot of other people also. I'm not saying this is. It's a little soft, The other one was more square, This is at least this first 28 minutes has been pretty soft. It's nice to listen, to hear the different experts and all that, and these different sides. I don't know why one would have anyway, whatever. But it does seems a little soft, a little softy in it, and I do see Sunburn was more square. It was more harsh in it, It was more, I guess, direct, on a lot of the things as far as but I'll continue watching, but yeah. So, but it's I guess it might just be warming up. So, but there hasn't really been many, at least for now, there hasn't been many. It's mostly interviews. There hasn't been any like from this lexicon or this lexicon or this lexicon. There's this like where you see sunburn starts out like half an hour or 20 minutes or something like that, where it just gives you one after another. Boom, 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 right? This lexicon, this lexicon, this lexicon, that book, this whatever, and all that. Bang, right? Just directly in your face, rough and square and lovely, that's wonderful, Anyway, and showing you where they get the information from and all that. This is more like interviews here and there, and but anyway, I get it's good that the information gets out there. So I guess I shouldn't complain, because it's lovely that they made it freely available and all that, and they have made it, and they have probably used a huge amount of time, going into this. So I shouldn't complain. It's nice to see the information going out, and it's probably going to change lives in regards of people thinking it over and beginning to turn them around. But I'm not so sure it was a good idea to scrap the other video, even if it has had some issues. At least they tried the best that they could. They could just have made an updated version of it, had the old version there, and then people coming in and saying, you have a problem there, and all that. And they could research it further and then make a number 2, right? And just have correction on these. And I guess the problem is also that, we have to also use the Bible and history to discern how this filthy Roman system actually works. So there are some holes that we have to fill out, but when you begin to see how the system works, you become much better to actually filling those holes in some sense. And that might be, what shall we say, extrapolating, and but it's, you see how this system works. You begin to get the idea of this Roman Catholic insane institution, this power-hungry, filthy system of Satan, So any case, the masterpiece of Satan in regards to deception. And what does Yeshua warn us about? Wolves in sheep clothing. He didn't warn us about a stinking wolf like Muhammad that you can smell miles away, He warned us about wolves in sheep clothing, if possible, could deceive the elect. We shouldn't even go by miracles and this and that, right? Because we know that there will be, there will be prophets, false prophets, doing things here and there. So, in regards to miracles and all that, that shouldn't be our standard, in regards of, Anyway, go listen to Jesus. Go listen to Yeshua. The book of Matthew, the book of Matthew was the primary book that the Nazarenes used, and that would be the first Christians, the first believers. That was, called heretics or claimed heretics and a heresy by the Romanizers in the 4th century, if I remember correctly. So, like the medicine chest by Eusebius, I think it is. Anyway, I might be wrong in regard, I might get some things wrong. That's why, of course, you always have to check things for yourself in some sense, The thing is, are we trying to do the best that we can do? Are we trying to pull in the right direction? We might make mistakes. The thing is, are we trying? Are we trying to get in the right direction of truth? Are we hewing growth from Satan in regards to sunburn? There might have been problems in regards to sunburn, in regards to some of the information in it. But Was it hewing row from Satan? Oh yeah, oh yeah. I think it hewed a lot of row from Satan. You know, that seems to be. It's very bang 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 bang. You know, it's like, you know, that's yeah. And I also think I actually did see it many years ago, but you know, it's just you know, it's hard to remember everything, and there's so many, you know, do a lot of research. It's like daily research, you know. Of course, also in regards to fungal things, in regards to my health and all that. You know, be careful of drinking and be careful of sugar. You know, that's yeah. Anyway, they're just destroying our food sources, and yeah. Anyway, that's another topic, and we shouldn't go too far on that either. But alcohol is, you know, you can, and sugar, you know, it's just, and of course the fungal poison they put in us in regards of, you know, called antibiotics and all that against life and all that. Anyway, yeah, it's fungus poison and actually mold poison, and they just concentrate it into a little white pill, and there you go, eat it. You know, it's so-called medicine, whatever. Anyway, destroys all your good bacteria as well down there. Anyway, and then of course the fungi run amok in your body, and of course you, with the diet that we have now, we're feeding them with sugar and alcohol and all the rest that is in, you know, whatever. Anyway, have a good one, all of you. I'll going to see this further. Actually, you know, even, you know, what you call the guy Staley, Jim Staley, was it Jim Staley? He was named the guy that is in the prison at the moment. Let's see if I can find out. Let's see here. I think I had a, yeah, Jim Staley. So Jim Staley is in the prison, as I understand it. It will be nice to see him coming out again and fighting for truth. I still don't ascribe to Hanukkah. He's promoting Hanukkah. Michael Rood is promoting Hanukkah as well, and I absolutely is not in agreement with that. But you know, they have you know, they have done a lot of you know, gotten a lot of information out in regards of the real festivals of Jehovah, and that's nice. Just don't subscribe to Hanukkah. Now, of course, there's also the Church of God, you know, and these different people keeping the Sabbath and all that, and also keeping the festivals. That is also out there. So there are people out there, you know. It's just, and that's of course nice with the internet that, you know, you can find each other. Anyway, have a good one. May Jehovah bless you and be with you. And Yeshua, most precious, may Yeshua be a most precious pearl, and the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of truth, be in us all. Amen. Have a good one. And I'm over and out. If I can find the close button. That's a good question. Where is that? Oh, that down there. Okay.